What's going on, guys? Claic Yuzolt back again with another Final Fantasy Brave Exvius banner review, and today we're reviewing Sol, one of the big bad guys from FFBE, finally coming so you guys can use them as a magic user. And with his JP, his global enhancement from the JP version, he gets pretty beefy and pretty good. So let's get into it. Alright guys, so here is the banner. We're looking at two 4-star base units, one 3-star base, and then Sol. I think out of all of the units besides Sol, they don't really have any uses. We will go over them a little bit. The TMRs are really there actually to give you some value, but then the real prize is Sol, and we'll go over him and his rotation and how well he does in the current meta. But first up, we're going to talk about Pertira. I want to say Patricia. Anyway, I'm going to be a 3-star base going into 5-star Scholar. Has Life of the Laboratory, and this has actually been a TMR that's been increased. It is from the JP counterpart. We have increases attack by 40%, and then increases resist to confuse by 100%. So in a circumstance where you really only need confusion resist, you're not really going for, something that doesn't give you any attack on an attacker, but gets rid of all other status elements. You only need to worry about confuse. Here you go. It could be the last piece of that 3-piece puzzle in Confuse, Petrify, and then Paralyze that you may need, along with giving you a big attack up, so you can keep doing more damage. So I think it's a pretty good TMR to consider. Moving on, we have Eclipse, which I think is a great looking unit. Eclipse is actually going to be a debuffer breaker. If we go through the abilities, it's all about taking down and breaking. And then we have the, a big AoE, all break, full break to everything. So if you really are in need of a breaker just starting out in the game, this could be the choice for you. Looking at the TMR, we have Phantom Force, increases Esper bonus stats by 40%. This is also a very good TMR, in which case that maybe you're hitting those, those limits, those percent limits, those stat caps that you do before battle. This can get you a little bit more, eke you out a little bit more value if you don't want to put a killer here. If you'd rather just get stats somewhere else, Esper stats, bonus stats here will get you that a little bit, and that's why you may want to look into using this TMR. The next one up is Hilly Arc. Hilly Arc is a mage, black mage dealing in ice and other types of magic like that. Ultra / family, as you can see here, again, nothing too special. She may be useful when it comes time for 3 to 4-star base dungeons, but whenever that happens, we'll have to look into it then. We're looking at the TMR. It is Magic Circlet. Big old defense, big old magic stat. But there's a reason for that defense, because it is a helm. So you may get a little bit happy about that giant 52 magic stat, but you may want to check out your mage as well to make sure they can put on a helm, or you're not even going to be able to use it. So that's going to be something you need to look into. I think she is the most niche use TMR, as there aren't that many mages that can put the helm on, in my opinion, that are really meta right now. So there's going to be going with that. So next up, we're going to be moving on to Sol. Now, Sol is going to be your 5-star base going up to 7-star magic damage dealer. You can see that the chaining frames are Chaos Wave and Absolute Zero. He had a ton of changes from his JP counterpart because, to be frank, I do believe people thought he came out a little bit weaker, or once he came out, they came out with better mages like CG Terra, CG Darkfina, and, maybe even more wanted units. Like, even if Terra was somewhere near him, or she had a flaw, I think people say that she's a little bit squishy. People want Terra, right? Because Terra is a mainstay household name for Final Fantasy. People love Final Fantasy VI. So I think Global was trying to buff him up in order to make people feel a little bit happy about pulling for Sol and maybe tantalize them a little bit. And they did a great job. He actually is much, much more strong than his JP counterpart. Looking at his TMR, we have Astral Robe. It's going to be defense 15, magic 65, spirit 42, and MP 10%. A great TMR to be slapping on somebody. I mean, the 15 defense and 42 spirit could come in handy on anyone when it comes time to be trying to make sure you hit those min-maxing of those different kinds of defensive stats if you need to, giving you a little bit of MP as well. But a big, giant magic 65 on a TMR is nice. Next up, he has Heliolite, which is an accessory ring, magic 70, and they give Ever Shining Stone, which is going to give you guys reduced MP costs by 30%. This is going to be very important when we talk about the new Sol, because he's going to be quad casting and even pentacasting quite a bit, which, using all that MP could be a problem. Magic 70, giant stat there. Going to be very useful out there for magic damage dealers if they can find the space for it. And very, very good as TMR looking on that. So looking over Sol, what exactly does he do? Well, he covers a few elements here. It looks like he's covering fire, dark, and light. Those are the elements that he's going to be able to mess around with. He has the ability to increase light and dark resist by 75% for a little bit of you know, a little bit of support there if you need him to. He also has the ability to recover a little bit of his own MP, which is great. And he can imperil light, dark, and fire. He has an ability that can do that, quite useful. He has abilities in light, fire, and dark, that build up over time, so you want to be using them, hit him. And so you can see here, those are the Chaos Wave chaining. And I know a lot of people shy away from Chaos Wave. I have not had problems with that, but I've heard people have been when they're using him. So looking over his abilities again, we go through these. These are just your run-of-the-mill, decrease, do that element damage. And then we go so forth and so on. He has the ability to W cast, and then he gains the ability to triple cast at max 127 star. The abilities he gets up here are just more enhanced, more powerful build-up abilities where he can hit AoE with just see, this one right here has no element, which gives him the opportunity to be able to, you know, non-elemental. It doesn't always have to be connected to an element, which people need in this game. But then we have light, dark, and fire again. Looking at his 2 cooldown abilities, he has one here, and this is going to be the big one, right? He can decrease fire, light, and dark resistance by 100% for 4 turns to all enemies with a 5-turn cooldown. He increases his own magic by 200% for 5 turns, and then he enables skill for himself, quadruple obliteration, which is quad cast for 5 turns as well. So turn 1, you're just going to be casting Sage's Wisdom to get that imperil out there, boost up your magic, and get quad cast ready to go. And because he can triple cast, you're going to go ahead and pick whichever one of these 3 that you want to be using, and maybe even Path of Destruction if you don't want to be using any element. Either Solar, Deflagrating, and then Execution, whichever element you want to do. Fire, dark, or light, you want to cast that for the remainder of the 2 skills that you can. After that, you are literally just going to be casting whichever one of those abilities you picked over and over 4 times, until we finally get to and then you can cast. You have to make sure you keep up Sage's Wisdom. When it comes off cooldown, cast it again. But then when you get done with that, you're going to be looking out for Chaotic Nova. Now, Chaotic Nova is an ability that does a shit ton of damage. We're still looking at magic damage 3 times with ignore defense 50%, and then magic damage 15 times with ignore defense 50%, which is 30 times multiplier. And it looks like it's going to be a chain capper at the end there. You can see how it's split up like we're used to. Giving him some LB gauge. His LB is kind of leaves a lot to be desired, but it enables Power of Chaos. And what Power of Chaos can do when you cast it, if we go down, Power of Chaos enables skill for 2 turns, quintuple obliteration. You can cast something 5 times after you cast this, and the ability you want to cast 5 times is going to be Devastation, and the reason being is auto cast next turn. He casts it on himself after you use Power of Chaos. He's going to put up his magic by 250% and then increase his modifier for Devastation by 17.5 times. So for 1 turn, because I know it says 2 turns, you get quintuple cast, 5 cast. But the turn you cast it counts as 1, and then the next turn it happens. That's why this modifier increases on the next turn. So your next turn, you're getting a big magic buff up, and then you go out here and you find, where was it? Devastation right here. It's going to get a huge increase to its multiplier, making it extremely powerful. And the good thing about it is it does have ignores the defense spirit, 50%, which means you double that, and then you can do it 5 times. So you're going to use, when this is time to go, you're going to go ahead and cast Chaotic Nova. As long as you're not running out of Sage's Wisdom, you want to make sure Sage's Wisdom is up and ready to go. You cast Chaotic Nova, and then you cast whatever you need to besides that. Then you go ahead and you have to cast the ability Power of Chaos, and once you cast that, the next turn you're going to do 5 devastations, and it's going to do so much damage. So that's pretty much his rotation. He's pretty simple, but he does a shit ton of damage. He is the 2nd highest magic damage dealer in the game, underneath Kimono Fina. Kimono Fina is going to take a minute to topple off, but because of these JP buffs, he's been put up there. Now, Christine, Tsukiko, Kimono Fina, Grimlord Sakura, a little bit lower than them, but they're all around the same amount. I mean, they're splitting up about 1 million, 2 million, not even that much damage in between them, but he gets to stand up there and stand tall, and if you like Soul, he's going to be able to, you know, he's a good investment because he does that much damage. Moving on down through his, we do have his passives to go through. He has the ability to dual-wield one-handed weapons, so you're going to be able to put double rods in his hand. Increase equipment 50% when dual wielding, so he has true dual wield magic. MP up, HP and MP up, 50% when equipped with a rod, so obviously you want to put a rod in his hand. He auto casts this S protection. I'm not even going to try to say that. Increase 100% magic to caster and mitigate damage taken from physical and magical by 10%, so he does become a little bit more tanky. Increases magic 30%. Paralyze, confuse, petrify. That's the good one. Those are all 3 that you want. Bam, you ain't got to worry about shit with him. Silence, okay. Increase magic 30%, increase spirit 20%, increase light and dark resistance 50%, increase LB gauge to TMR ability, increase stop and charm by 100%. So he seems pretty good, right? He has resist to all these different status elements you don't like. He has resist to stop and charm, which is not that common to have both of them. He has another 50% to his true dual wield magicking, and then he also has guts, which applies to more of his tankiness, so he can take a hit, he can survive. He has some defense going up, increased magic 40, HP and MP 20%, increased LB fill rate, by 50%. And down here it just goes over what we talked about. Quadruple obliterations 4 cast, quintuple is 5 cast, and then power of chaos is what we use to enable 5 casts and make our devastation that much more powerful, and that's what you guys want to be casting. Moving on down, he does have reflect, dispel gut, ultimate, and holy. Dispel gut could come in handy. I'm not going to say it doesn't. And then here's his LB. It's not the worst, but it kind of is because of how they buffed up that CD, right? So you can use this ability. It's going to be a 30 times total magic multiplier to all enemies. Going to be 15 hits, so it's going to chain up if you have another soul that you're chaining with, but because of Chaos Wave, he does have a lot of friends that he can be chaining with as well. And then it enables for 5 turns quadruple obliteration. But the problem being is, like, you're always going to have quadruple obliteration up by casting Sage's Wisdom, which you want to always be casting this instead of the LB because of the Imperil and the magic buff up to yourself. So that's why we kind of ignore his LB. So overall, did the changes make me feel a little bit different about Soul? It definitely did. People are wondering why I'm not too excited about Soul on my stream. They're like, hey, what do you got against Soul, etc. Personally, it's just him. It's just his character. I think he looks pretty cool, right? He has like the whole vortex in his cape. But overall, as I played FFB, as I had to, contend with him, see how he acted, just never vibed with him, never really got into it. So I'm going to go ahead and skip over him because in the future, again, we have so many mages coming out. I have Tsukiko. I'd like to mess around with her as much as I can. I also have Christine if I'd want to mess around with her. And then, CG Terra's coming out. And then the one that I really want, CG Darkfina, will be coming out. I wouldn't say super close, but not too far off. I'd say within the year we should be able to get her, I'm hoping. So again, if you love Soul, great investment, one of the top damage dealing mages in the game. But if you don't, you can totally skip him and it won't be a problem. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below how you feel about Soul and if you're going for him. Subscribe for future content. Catch me on Twitter where I'm posting all kinds of weird stuff and you can ask me questions there. And then follow me on Twitch, catch me on my Twitch streams where we can hang out, interact. You can always talk to me in the chat. I'm live. You get me one-on-one, and we have a lot of fun on there too, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.